Good afternoon, everyone. Let's go ahead and get started. And thank you for taking the time of your day to be here. I know we missed the last Lunch and Learn. I can't remember why I had to cancel, but I apologize. I had to cancel that last one. So it's been a while since we had one of these. So hopefully someone's going to ask me a question today. That's the goal is to have some questions because I can tell you what I know on top of my head, but really what I want to do here is be able to address any questions that's on your mind as well. So keep that in mind. If I don't cover everything, feel free at the end of the session to speak up. So what's going on? It's pretty much end of the school year. I think it's been a very good school year. I think people will attest to that. Everything as large-wise organization, everything looks really, really good. Our budget's passed by the school board. I think our budget that has to go to the school boards passed unanimously. That's a rare event, by the way. It's happened twice now in the last 5 years. And I think that was the first time it happened in many, many years where every single school board member of every single school district voted for our budget. That's just, to me, a statement of a comfort level that people have out there for this organization. And just right off the bat, that's a tribute to everyone in this room. So thank you. That's a good indication of a very positive year. Programs continue to grow, and I can just pick a program, and whether it's mental health, whether it's MVP, whether it's early intervention, and I'm workforce investment, I go on and on. There's just growth everywhere across the organization. Again, another healthy indicator, another tribute to the people in the room that make this organization a great place that it is. So where are we? What's coming up in the summer? What's things that we're keeping our eyes on? This time of year, we have to watch Harrisburg because it's, the governor is going to have, or the General Assembly will be passing a budget, hopefully by June 30th, which would be also a rare occasion for the General Assembly to actually do their job on time. But we anticipate that the budget will be on time. When it's not on time, that really messes everything up because all the federal funds and state funds have to be approved in Harrisburg before we can get them. So a non-time budget is actually a good thing for us. The numbers, increases in special education, we anticipate. Increases in pre-K counts, we anticipate. Obviously, the basic education formula for school districts will increase as well. So that, the government didn't put in wild numbers this year. I think that's why it's going to go through on time. They're reasonable numbers and slight increases in all areas. We're most interested in early intervention, of course, which is going to increase. Now, whether we see that increase or not is irrelevant. Okay, it doesn't work that way because it's always based on the distribution of kids with disabilities across the Commonwealth. So it's proportional distribution across the state. So while the state will get an increase as a whole, what percentage we get remains unknown. But we're likely to see something there. Pre-K counts, we're hoping to see some money there so we can hopefully expand. We always say Montgomery County, which is one of the wealthiest counties in the Commonwealth, also has the largest number of children who don't have access to quality preschool programs, just because of the sheer numbers. So it's actually a catch-22. So we have the wealth. We also have a very large number of families who in the poverty and children don't have access. So hopefully we'll continue to be able to expand those programs, whether it's one classroom, two classrooms. I think we put in like 5 or 6 or more than that. But the reality is we get 1 or 2 additionals because the money has to be spread across the state as well. So we're hoping for that this year. Other things we're keeping our eyes on. We're very interested in charter school legislation and how that impacts our school districts and how it impacts our online learning program. There's a lot of activity. It doesn't appear that anything significant is going to come out of any of those bills that are out there to change funding formulas, et cetera. What was likely to happen is it's a classic General Assembly move. When you don't know what to do, you form a commission. So they're going to form a commission to study the problem, which means it'll be another year or 2 before there's any real relief on the cyber charter funding situation. So that will be of interest to us. There's a bill about taking $100 million and moving it into private vouchers or tax credits. That hurts public schools. That pits the private schools versus the public schools. And so our non-public program, while we won't benefit from that, it's actually just a tuition reduction for parents who already have their children in private schools. That's essentially what that does. It doesn't do anything for our non-public schools, and certainly hurts our public schools. The governor has said he's probably going to veto that, so that we'll see how that plays out. And then lastly, after July 1, after the budget's done, we'll probably see a host of property tax reform bills coming out again, which always the advocates to eliminate property tax, which will have major consequences on every school district. And each year those come out, and each year it comes back with a greater fury, so to speak. So it's the reason why they're waiting until July 1 is because they're going to put the bills out at the same time, put the property tax bills out. Property tax bill and a bill to eliminate property tax coming out at the same time, figuring, trying to raise the emotions of people in order to get more folks behind the elimination of property tax. My personal opinion on, it's not to me about the elimination of property tax, it's about the reduction of property tax. Okay? I do think the state relies too much on property tax. So you can reduce property tax, but you can't eliminate property tax. But the language out there is always elimination. But I do think the legislature should do something about the reduction, but that's a different conversation. So that's the Harrisburg situation we're watching. Again, none of those, major, even if those property tax bills will take a good year or two to be debated if anything ever happens. And frankly, I don't think it'll go anywhere. So other than the increase in the state budget, which is a slightly positive news for us, it's a mild year legislatively. So I'll pause there and see if any questions from Harrisburg, what's happening there that may impact us. Okay. Washington, D.C., enough said about Washington, D.C. I don't think there's really nothing to talk about there in terms of public education. President Trump has put a bill out, which even his own members of the Republican Party said this is dead on arrival. So that will just play out over several months and has little impact on us. We do get federal funds, but not enough to be overly concerned about at this point. Back here in our territory, probably the biggest thing happening this summer is the construction project or renovation project over at 1605 Main Street, our Early Learning Academy. So board, after seems like close to 2 years of discussing it, finally did approve the project at the last board meeting. So we're going to invest $12 million into the old 1605 building. It'll be a complete renovation, starting with a new roof, new windows, new doors, new HVAC system, new carpeting, new paint, new ceiling tiles, repaving the what looks like the moon landing there in the parking lot, fixing the stormwater management. So you won't recognize the building when it's done. It would actually be a nice facility to have 400 children in, which is pretty much what we have right now. It will be ADA compliant, which the building currently is not now. Electrical will come up to greater code standards. Plumbing will become a greater code standards, et cetera. So it's kind of we've been fortunate that we've had so many children over there and not had major problems. So we've finally been able to correct that. And I think those young children now will have a facility that we can be proud of. The timelines, because the battle with the board took longer than I anticipated, and the bids the first time we went out came back higher than we anticipated, so we had to rebid it. So a little behind schedule where we wanted to be, but they'll start seeing activity over there probably in July, but real construction taking place in early August. One of the positives that came out of having to rebid the process, and it just helped me out to understand, the first time we put the bids out, we were trying to expedite construction. We wanted to keep it as short as possible to have minimal disruption to class instruction. But by doing that, you're double shifting the contractors. They work double shifts. When you double shift the contractors, the prices go up. So in order to get the prices down to something we thought was more reasonable, we had to stretch the timelines out and go to a single shift work. Right? And then the solution became to build, and when you do single shift work, it's kind of tough to do when you got kids in the building. So we're going to build 5 or 6 additional classrooms into the building and then use that for shifting kids around. So we can move kids in the building and then fix 5 rooms. Move kids again, fix those 5 rooms. So by shifting it that way, it makes the project go longer, but it keeps it in a budget that we can handle. And the other good news is kids don't have to leave the building. In the original plan, the early intervention program was going to have to vacate the building this summer. Okay, that's no longer the case. So the early intervention kids will be able to stay in the building this summer, and they'll stay in the building next summer. So we won't have to ever move kids out of the building. We'll move them internally within the building. So construction, most construction will start in August, and it'll probably play out through the end of next summer. So it'll be a year-long project till that's all said and done. While that's going on, we need to do something in this building down on the main level. So the area across from the security booth where Willard sits, so that whole area, which has been vacant now since we've been in this building, we finally have to build that out. Because of the amount of work that goes into that, we have to bid that. Okay, our guys have way too much on our plate to be able to do it internally. So we're gonna have to bid out the electrical and any plumbing. So that has to go through an RFP process. We had to go through the board. Because of the sheer cost of this one, I don't expect this one to have any problems at all. We're talking maybe less than $1 million project, $500,000 project, in order to build that building out, that space out. Ultimately, space will be the headquarters for the Workforce Investment Group. There'll be some shared conference rooms down there, but that's where we want to put our growing workforce investment project. And if you notice in the building, we have clients coming in and out of the building all the time. So they'll be able to come in there at the front door, just go right in the side there, and have that access to that building. What we also want to do while we're doing that is on the back side of that space, actually the back wall of that is also the interior wall of the foyer where the staircase is. All right, so if you come down the staircase and you go to the glass windows and you make a left, you run into the wall. Okay, we're going to open that wall and we're going to build a kind of like a mini cafeteria counter so our transition students can have their coffee program, and we'll go live with serving. Yeah. So that'll be nice. They'll be right there in the lobby. So as we have guests coming into the building, they'll be able to get coffee right there from our transition students, right there at the kind of where the flag is right now, if you know where I'm talking about. So that'll be broken open and it'll be a real nice counter there. Kind of like the counter Hannah sits at down there in the front desk will be a counter like that down that corner. We hope to, talking to Brittany and those folks to even expand from coffee to maybe even serving pizza on occasion. Okay, so we'll start with the coffee and see where it goes. But I think that'll be nice. Help me out, Brad. Timeline on that project. If we bid that in July, it might be through the fall, right? Yeah. Okay. I'm not as close to that project with the math in terms of the 1605 project, but yeah, I guess. And now, Keith, too. What do you think about six months on that project, maybe on that? Yeah. And that's once the bids come back. So we got a month and a half of getting the bids out and getting them back in. So January would be a reasonable expectation to start that program. So that's the facility issues. There'll be some minor adjustments in the building as of course we adjust with number of people, but nothing that significant at this point that we're planning on. I'm just jumping around different topics that are on my mind. Another good news, what we're going to do is as far as the salary and wages plan that we have for our employees, and again, and this does not apply to any of our members of the collective bargaining unit on the teacher side. So this is for our support and technical folks and for our administrators. We're going to have an adjustment on the wage ranges, probably by 2%. That's going to be the recommendation to the board. It's up to the board. That doesn't mean wages. Okay, so clear this. This is the ranges that will adjust. When we put that range system in place a few years ago, we made a promise that every 2 years we would make adjustments on that. So it's a 2-year cycle. So this is a year to make that adjustment. So what that means is we'll take the midpoint of the range and we move that 2% up. All right. Then your max and minimum will move proportionally as well. So there's a handful of individuals who are capped from that system. chances are they may see depending on where you are capped on that, that 2% may provide an increase for those few staff that we still have capped from a long time ago. It also moves the minimum salaries up 2% as well. So that has nothing to do with your individual raises. It's just the range that will be adjusting, trying to keep up with inflation. That's going to the board, so the board has to approve that yet at June. We always want to stay competitive with our competitors out there in the employment section. Just looking at my notes here, anything else I want to cover and then open up. Well, casual dress or business casual dress starts on Monday next week. So I know how to define it for a man. I don't know how to define it for a woman. So that's Jack's job, it's not mine. But so you'll be writing the memo later on to just go up. But I think everybody knows what it is at this point. So that starts Monday, and we'll carry that through to mid-August. We always like to have a summer barbecue. Some point. So whoever's in the building on those days, but we're looking at July 11th of having that. So we'll have in the parking lot. The administration will, cook burgers and serve who's ever in the building that day. I don't know if we do RSVP for that or not, or it's just open. We do RSVP. Okay. Yeah. So that memo should be coming out shortly too. Please RSVP because that tells us the quantity of food we have to have available. And if you don't RSVP and we get an overcrowd, then that causes a problem. So I'll be watching for that to come out fairly soon as well. And I'm going to take a pause because I think those are the things I want to make sure I covered. Anything people want to ask me about or talk about? So I'm running out of updates at this point. I get into individual programs, but I'm not sure that's what I want to do in a larger group. But, okay. No, good. Okay, nice challenge was to ask me one question, so you're not doing well. Yeah. All right, Hannah.
How's the parking lot issue going?
The parking lot issue. The issue, I don't know. There's two separate projects, and neither one seems to be moving very well right now. The project we were always most concerned about is totally silent, and that's we're connecting Barbados right through our parking lot. That has been dead silent. So a couple of years ago, there was talk they're going to, put a road right through our parking lot, and we were making plans of what that's going to look like. We voiced our objections, and then suddenly it's been silent. So as far as that's concerned, we don't have any updates, and no one seems to be talking about it, which is probably a good thing. The other one you do see visible is construction on Lafayette Street. We are understanding they were going to, cut up the south side of the street, which they did, and go all the way down, and then when it was done, to come back and then cut the north side of the street where all the utilities are, the water lines and gas lines, et cetera, which would be more of a hassle. It seems like they went down and they started the other end and they're coming back. Because we had told originally that the north side would be starting in January of this year, and we're sitting on mid-June and there's no activity over there. So I'm assuming they're still on the far side of Lafayette, and eventually they'll be working back here into the fall. So that seems to be manageable. It hasn't been major problems from what I indicate. And PennDOT's been fairly good to work with on that project, even though they don't give us a whole advance warning of when they're shutting roads down.
Leaving the main entrance here going out Cherry Street, it's very confusing. Every time I go out, people come from all ends and whatnot. Like some people turn, like they think it's one lane, but maybe two lanes, like people turn left, but still some people are in the one lane, so it's really confusing. I don't know.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, Cherry Street, it's a one-way road and two lanes northbound, but not everybody knows that. It's not marked.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we could pass that on. I don't know what would cause a change, but we could certainly pass that on, especially when the construction comes back down this end. Mm-hmm. Yeah, whether to pay attention to that or not. Right. But yeah, you're right. It's confusing for our yeah. Right. Good. Okay. Where's Tom? I mean, Tom's in the room somewhere. Yeah, make a mental note of that. Okay. Any other? Yep. Oh.
We have a conference next week, so we're talking parking lots. We're gonna have an additional 80 people coming in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so get in early if you want to go to parking spot.
Okay, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week, expect a full house.
And I'll piggyback on that. The conference is using the cafeteria throughout the week. So between the hours of 11 and 1, you can probably come in and use the vending machine, get ice, get water. But most of the tables will be occupied by conference attendees next Monday through Thursday.
And please don't take food until we say you can.
Okay. Good, thank you for that announcement. Other comments, thoughts, anything else? I guess we shouldn't get out of here without recognizing, I think we have 3 retirees in the room that I spotted. I saw Stan Whistler, I saw Jeff Rothenberg, I saw Donna Kelly somewhere. So there they are. So we'll miss you guys. So. Congratulations. And there are many other retirees too that are not in this session today. So, and we had a chance to recognize them at the last board meeting. All the retirees were recognized at the last board meeting, by the way. So thank you for all your service. Anything else before I close out? If not, then again, I just express my thank you to you for another good school year. I'm very pleased with where things stand. I think, as I said earlier, I think everyone's pleased with where things stand. A great group of people. I think we have a very noble mission, and things will be going along real well. So I do hope you get a chance. I know early intervention, you guys work harder in the summer than most of us, but do hope you guys get a chance to relax and spend some nice time and vacations with family and friends. Then we got opening day in August, and then we'll do it again. So, so thank you everybody, and take care. Have a good summer. Okay.